The Temple Institute in Jerusalem announced that they have finally received the crown of the high priest. The new crown replaces the older one, which was in accordance with Scripture. After much reading and research of the Scriptures, commentaries, and even historical accounts, including Josephus, the new crown was produced. Palestinian terrorists operating out of the Gaza Strip fired 18 rockets at the battered southern Israel town of Sderot on Wednesday. A young Israeli girl was wounded by shrapnel and numerous others were treated for shock. The Islamic Jihad terrorist organization and Hamas-dominated umbrella groups both claim credit for the attack. Russia unveils their newest fighter aircraft, the Su-Mk-30. The Su-Mk-30 can stop in mid-air, turn, and even comes close to flying backwards. There is apparently no other plane in the world at this time that can match its abilities. This and more as Prophezine looks at this week in Bible prophecy.
Hello, my name is Ray Gano. I'm the Executive Director of Prophezine, and this week in Bible Prophecy, December 15th, 2007, the Temple Institute received the gold crown for the high priest. In this event alone, more pieces of the Bible prophecy puzzle has dropped into place. Scripture tells us
that in fact there will be a third temple, the one that will be built during the tribulation that the Antichrist will go into and defile, as foretold in Scripture. If you go to Daniel 9:27, it states, "And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the obliteration to cease, and for the overspreading of abomination he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured out upon the desolate." A special note here is that the temple will be built during the tribulation is God's temple. It is not the Antichrist's temple, as some believe. Paul, writing to the Thessalonians and speaking of the Antichrist, makes it very clear that the temple is the temple of God. 2 Thessalonians 2:4 states, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." We know that we as Christians will not be here to watch the temple go up, but the fact that the Jews are so focused on their efforts to building the temple itself is very exciting indeed. This means that we will not be here much longer.
Shalom. I'm Rabbi Chaim Richman from the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. With me is Rabbi Yehuda Glick, the General Director of the Institute. This is a very historic moment. We have just received the newest vessel that the Institute has been working on for some time now. We have just received it from the craftsman, and it is the golden crown of the high priest. You know that the high priest wears the 8 golden garments, and one of them, described in the Torah, is a golden crown which sits not on top of his head like a king would wear, but across his forehead, and it carries the words, "Holiness unto the Lord," Kodesh Lashem. And this is a very, very special moment, and in fact it's quite historic because it's at this very moment that we actually have ourselves received it on loan, as it were, to the Temple Institute until the Holy Temple is built. I think this is extremely momentous, especially because next week Jewish people...
On Wednesday, terrorists fired 18 rockets into the southern city of Sderot. Out of sheer frustration with the Olmert government, Eli Moyal resigned his position as mayor of Sderot. Moyal and others have stated that no other country would allow daily bombardment, and yet the Olmert government sits and does nothing to protect Israelis. Folks, we need to pray for the people of Sderot. We also need to pray for the Israeli nation and her people. If we have a chance to raise our voice as Christians in support of Israel, we must do so. Please remember Genesis 12:3.
Genesis 12:3. "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed."
This is Barbara Henderson in Olympia, Washington, with Spotlight on Missionaries. Matthew 28:19 says, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations." This great commission is being fulfilled around the world today. Epic International reports they are working with 5 national church planners in Iraq. These church planners are focused on the starting of churches in several of the villages where Kurds are rebuilding and resettling. Thomas Castellaw, missionary to Germany, reports of their work every Friday night in downtown Heidelberg and door-to-door on the military base. Last Sunday, they had 20 people on the streets, the men preaching, the ladies and kids handing out tracts. He had a call from a 17-year-old who trusted Christ as a result and asked prayer for his Christian growth. Eric Chapman, missionary to Romania, asked that you pray for him to have a better understanding of the Romanian language and especially of the churches being planted in the Russian areas. If you don't know how to personally send aid to missionaries, get in touch with Ray Grano and he will direct you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, for that report. With more missionary news, 270 house pastors have been detained for alleged illegal gathering in China. 12 police cars and 40 to 50 police officers humiliated these pastors and marched them out in cuffs as common criminals. Folks, please pray for these pastors in China, as well as the Christian church that is growing and coming under persecution in China. This week, Russia debuts its newest fighter jet, the Su-30MK. This aircraft can hover, turn on a dime, spin, and fall without a flameout. There is apparently no other aircraft that can match its ability. More and more, Russia is arming itself for war. But who are they going to war with? We read in Scripture,
Ezekiel 38:2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, great company, and bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many with thee. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. It is Russia, along with her allies, being led by modern-day Iran, that will attack Israel. It is amazing that more and more we are seeing Russia develop and expand their military power. But even in all her power, Russia, along with her alliances, cannot stand against the God of Israel. For it is the hand of God that will save Israel in its time of great need, and the nations of the world shall see that it was God of Israel who saved her. We continue on with Ezekiel 39:21. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day and forward.
Folks, here at Prophezine, we are working very hard to share the gospel in light of Bible prophecy and world events. At Prophezine, what we do is we have a weekly newsletter called the PZ Insider Report. The PZ Insider Report is about 30 to 40 pages long and is sent out weekly via email in a PDF format. Prophezine.com, www.prophezine.com, and check out Prophezine. Folks, we are now working hard in producing This Week in Bible Prophecy. Very soon we will be opening up the thisweekinbibleprophecy.com website. That's www.thisweekinbibleprophecy. Check us out. Stay tuned. My name is Ray Gano. Thank you for joining us here this week in Bible Prophecy. And to all of you out there, God bless and Maranatha.